Welcome to this first edition of Foley Football Classics. As you look back and talk about the great history of Foley Lions football, that conversation will always take you to the great team, the great season of 1961. It was a championship run for the Lions that year, going 10-0, and along the way accumulating an impressive whopping 433 points while allowing just 6. It's a real honor and privilege for me to have the opportunity to sit between two great legends of Foley football history. Coach Ivan Jones, who led the Lions in 1961 and actually his career from 1955 to 1968, accumulating 110 wins along the way and 2 state championships. And also with us today, Coach Lester Smith, who was the team captain and starting quarterback for that 1961 team, and then later took over from Coach Jones as head coach in 1969 rather, in a career that spanned some 21 years, from 69 to 85, and then again from 2001 to 2004. Both men in several different halls of fame. And Coach Smith on to a great career in college, junior college at East Mississippi Junior College, and then on to Southeastern Louisiana. And again, a real privilege for me to have this opportunity to take a look back at one of the most talked about seasons in Foley High School football, and that is the season of 1961. First of all, Coach Jones, we appreciate you taking time out with us and sharing some memories of that 61 season. And going in, Coach, you were coming off of a 9-1 season the year before and a number 4 state ranking, I believe. So you must have known going in that you had a pretty good team for that 61 season.
Yes, we knew we had some great kids coming back, and we just wanted to try to try to stay healthy, and and of course we knew that the UMS ball game coming up, they ran single wing, and it's kind of, when we played them the second ball game of the season, it's kind of hard to, and we were playing them on Thursday night, and it's kind of hard to get ready for a single wing ball club in just 2 or 3 days. So we, and during the fall practice, we took 1 week and prepared for the UMS single wing, and which really helped us. And when the week of the UMS ball game, I think we scrimmaged a little bit, about 15 minutes on that Monday. And then we shut it down because we didn't want to get anyone hurt and have everybody healthy and ready, and which we were.
Talk a little bit about the general makeup of the team. I think there were around 33 or so players on the roster, most of whom played both ways. But talk about maybe their varied backgrounds from farming, seafood, and so forth.
Well, it was a good mixture of farm boys, I call them, and the fishing fleet boys from the Gulf Shores area, and some of the city, what do you call them, city, or what had this 61 ball club, we had several kids on that ball club that had played in the in Babe Ruth and Pony League baseball. We went to I think to about the 3rd round of the state playoffs, and of course we had some good athletes, and I knew them, and of course they knew me, and that made it that made it easier.
Conditioning in sports and athletics has become almost high tech, I think, to a great extent. How did you condition the team back in those days? How did they stay conditioned and prepare for a season?
Well, a lot of them did some
A lot of hard work over the summertime, probably.
Work on, out there. Not many of them had air conditioning back then, and they and most of them worked either on the potato sheds or farms or pitching watermelons or what have you, and of course we kids were not as I want to say more lean back. Most of them were more lean back then, and they could. I think they could. Just have a little. Want to say a little more stamina. Say a kid that weighed 200 pounds didn't have as much to move as somebody who weighs 300. They were a lot. Want to say leaner. And I think that made a difference.
We mentioned about 33 or so players on the roster, and a good number of those went on to accept college scholarship opportunities.
Yes, it did. I think off of the 61 and 62 ball club, we had something around 6 or 7, somewhere in that area. The signed Division I scholarships plus some kid that went on to the junior college.
Absolutely, and of course it was one of the most famous players, needless to say, in Foley football history. Kenny Snake Stabler was a sophomore on that team, a sophomore defensive back, I believe, and of course he went on to win a Super Bowl.
Yes, he had a great career. You could see when he was a sophomore that he was, showed flashes of brilliance or greatness at that time, but he came a long way from that sophomore season. In fact, of course, in the 9th grade, not saying anything about them, but he got beat up pretty good, and of course he was a good baseball player, and they didn't win too many down there, and he didn't have much fun. But once he got up with this group where they were winning and he got to play a lot of ball games, he played half the ball games on either offense or defense. Of course, a lot of others too that got a lot of experience that really helped them the next couple of years.
Kenny Stabler was a backup quarterback as well as defensive back, but a backup quarterback to this man, Lester Smith, who was the starting quarterback, the team captain, and president of his senior class. And Coach Smith, it's a real pleasure, honor, and privilege to have this opportunity to spend this time with you. If you would, talk about the chemistry on the team going into that season, and you yourself. I know that you were coming off of a shoulder injury and weren't really sure how well you would be able to throw going into that season, which, as we will see later in the video, the passing game was a pretty big element in the offensive philosophy of the Lions that season. But talk about yourself, your injury coming into the season, and the chemistry among your teammates.
Well, I think the team felt like that we were going to be pretty good that year. We were 9-1, as you mentioned earlier. The year before, as juniors, we scored 252 points, I believe, as a junior class, and gave up just 59. And the only loss we had was to Bay Minette that year. After we'd won the first 6 games, they beat us 19-0 that year. But I think we had a lot of togetherness, a lot of oneness on the team. The kids worked really hard. During the summer, you mentioned the conditioning, but over the summer, not only did we work on the potato sheds and on the farms and shrimping and those kind of things, as Coach mentioned, but all of us got ourselves in really good shape, and we came to the season knowing that we were going to be pretty good. And as far as my part was concerned, in the spring that year, I had a shoulder separation, and I had to have it operated on later on. They tried to get it well with treatment and couldn't, and had a doctor in Mobile, Dr. Devane, that operated on the shoulder. And during the course of the summer, I was working on a potato shed, Wynn Brothers shed in Summerdale, which is the old shrimp outlet now. Coach Jones bought me a weighted football, and I took the weighted football and regular football and took it to the potato shed every day, and I worked and got a little bit better, throwing a little bit farther from time to time, 10 yards and 15 yards and 20 yards. And by the time we started practice, probably around August the 10th or 12th, I was pretty much up to par with what I was doing before. But we really had a good team, an excellent backfield. The three guys behind me all went on and played college football at Tulane and Georgia Tech. Of course, Tulane and Georgia Tech were in the SEC at that time. But we had a tremendous offensive line, a great defense. The defense gave up 6 points during the entire season, as you mentioned. But I think the chemistry was there, the work ethic was there, the pride was there. We wanted to win, and Coach kind of held the score down. We scored 433 points, but it could have easily been 600 or 700 during the course of the season. But everybody played. We didn't have a lot of players, at 33 players, but everybody played, and you think of beating teams 40-0, running up the score, but he never did run up the score. Everybody got a chance to play in the games, but it was a great season, and we had a great coach and many outstanding players on the team.
We're going to walk through the record book for just a moment. The scores and the opponents for that 61 season. They opened the season against the Bobcats of Theodore and won that one 52-0, and then in week 2, 34-0 victory over UMS, followed by a 41-6 win over Alba. That was the lone opponent who notched a score against the Lions that season. 31-0 over Robertsdale in week 4. In week 5, 33-0 over Atmore. Week 6, a 41-0 victory over county rival Bay Minette. 59-0 over Grand Bay. In week 8, 52-0 over Baker. In week 9, 37-0 over Fairhope High School. And then the season finale, a 53-0 victory over Catholic High School in Pensacola. 433 points for, 6 points against, and when you mention that to any football fan, anytime, any place, they will raise a brow. That's an awfully impressive achievement by a football team. We know that it was a special season, and when we come back, we will share some memories and some footage of that UMS game, the second game of the season, a game that the Lions again won 34-0.